Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. If we haven't met each other before, I am an occupational therapist and a yoga teacher at Perennial. I teach vinyasa classes, and I also teach a therapeutic class for Perennial as well. So I am so happy to be here with you today. I am really excited about this topic. Many of you know, who do know me, how much I love anatomy. I love the way the body moves, and I love studying it. I've been studying the way the body moves for over 15 years now, with different and various hats and lenses. And one of the things that I'm extremely passionate about is supporting people in how they move so that we can move well, so that we have a practice that sustains us over time. And with being able to have a practice that sustains us over time is really when we understand how we move, then we can move with greater integrity. When we move in an intelligent and mindful way, then we support our body wherever it is on that given day, that given moment. Not forcing, not pushing, not putting it into situations that maybe it's not ready to go into, or maybe in a way where we're not honoring the injuries or other things that we're working with in our spine or anywhere else in our body. So with that being said, we are going to be live streaming or bringing these videos to our Perennial community during this time, and we're calling it Anatomy of the Pose. And so my intention is to offer us ways to continue to learn together, to support your home practice so that you can take these elements into your practice so that you keep yourself safe, that you move with this new sense of intelligence in your own body, while also listening to your own inner wisdom. So where I'd like to begin is Tadasana. Tadasana is an amazing place to start because you could reach out to say that it is connected and has a connection with each of the other shapes that maybe we take during a vinyasa class. Tadasana is most commonly known as probably mountain pose. So what we're going to do as we venture through our time together is we're going to talk about structurally some of the things that are going on in the body, but we're also going to spend some time together maybe exploring how the shape can evolve and take form. Okay? So if I stand upright, my feet, sometimes you see, or your teacher may guide you to bring your feet underneath your hips. Some people will teach it with bringing your feet a little bit closer, touching your big toes together. Neither one is wrong. They're just different variations. Today, I'm going to focus a little bit more on showing you the shape where our feet are directly underneath the hips or about there, okay? Because as our feet are as wide as our hips, that is going to be generally what's going to give me the greatest base of support. And that's what we're after, is staying strong, staying stable, cultivating the length in our spine and feeling supported here in both symmetry left to right, but also front to back in Tadasana, mountain pose. Again, another variation that you'll see is palms turned out or palms turned towards your sides. Again, neither is good, neither is bad. Both are wonderful. Depends on your shoulders, depends on what's going on here. I usually guide my students to imagine that just let your arms be your arms in that moment, because what's going on from here to here is going to allow us however the hands need to land, okay? So what I want to introduce you to with Tadasana, again, I already hinted at it, is that it's symmetrical both left and right as much as it is top, bottom, and front and back. But oftentimes what happens is that we have to think about what are the things structurally that need to take place in order for that symmetry to take shape. For some of us, scoliosis is going to, that's going to shift things. Scoliosis is a lateral curve of the spine. Structurally, that is how your spine is put together. So while honoring that, still feeling and cultivating a sense of symmetry in the body is still what we're after, okay? If you have other postural challenges where there's a roundness in the spine, or you've had any issues where you have sort of had some structural things happen in your spine, again, Tadasana is going to be the shape where the idea and the intention of symmetry is what we're after, okay? So let's start from the ground up. We're going to start with the feet. The feet are our point of contact here, as in any other standing balance in a yoga practice. And so oftentimes what can happen is we live in this modern day where we stuff our feet into shoes. Shoes are not generally made in order to honor the shape of our foot naturally. They're usually more narrow than our feet are naturally. And then what that does is it constricts and it limits in how we can functionally move our feet. So what's so great about coming into your yoga practice is that we practice without shoes on. So that now we get an opportunity to spread out through your feet and train our feet how to coordinate with everything, drawing energy up from the ground and moving in a more functional way. Okay, so imagine that your foot is like a triangle. It's not, but just for a moment, imagine that it is, okay? There is still bony prominences of the bottom of your heel, right here, and then the pinky toe side of your foot and the big toe side of your foot, okay? So that's what we're after. So there's that triangle, big toe, pinky toe, and then the back of your heel. Okay. Sometimes you'll hear teachers talk about four corners of the feet. Again, I think that's a wonderful way to also approach it. But for today, we're going to think about the triangle. So what I want you to do is I want you to lift up all 10 of your toes. And as you lift up all 10 of your toes, spread out through your toes the best that you can, just like I'm spreading out my fingers here. I'm going to spread out through my toes, and I'm going to bring down my pinky toe, my fourth toe, third toe, second toe, and then my big toe. So as I spread out through the bones of my feet, bring a little softness in your knees, and at any time notice if you're locking out your knees or you're holding your breath. Both of those things can be signs that we're working too hard or we've added a little too much stress to the body. So when we look, and just look at your feet and notice how they can spread out or maybe how they don't. Either again, it's information. So if you spread out through your feet, a little softness in your knees, again, just pick up all 10 of your toes. Spread out your feet the best you can. And we could just have a whole time together here just talking about the feet. But today we're going to just do a little introduction to it. Spread out through your feet. And you spread out. Why? Because remember, they're your base of support. Another thing that structurally can be impacted in how the feet work, or if you are flat-footed, just like I am, I have to work extra hard at my feet. If you actually have really high arches, if you have had issues with bunions, these are all things that are going to affect how your feet work. Another one is plantar fasciitis. So let's just take a quick pause to talk about the fascia of the bottom of the foot. Your fascia is your connective tissue. It interweaves between your muscles, then wraps around your muscles so that it connects you to then other structures within your body, okay? So that connective tissue, imagine like an orange. If you were to peel an orange, there's not only, when you take off the skin layer of the orange, and there's that white membrane on the outside. But then when you take off its sections, there's that white membrane still within inside. That's just like the fascia of your body. So that fascia, if we're putting our feet in shoes and keeping them really constricted all day, if we've had injury to our feet, that connective tissue can get really tight and also restricted. And then that also changes how our feet take in the input that travels energy from the ground, up my legs, up into my pelvis and my spine, okay? So even just taking your shoes off, working with spreading out your feet is going to give you some beautiful feedback to what's going on in your foot, okay? And so for a moment here, if we've lifted our toes, spread them out some, and then tip your feet so that you're on the outside edge of one foot and the inside edge of the other. And then take it the other way. So you're going to rock side to side. So you're on the pinky toe side of one foot, the inside of the other. And then take that the other way as you rock. And just feel out now the inside or the medial edge and the outside, the lateral edge of your foot. And then pause somewhere where it feels like the middle. So you might slowly stop your sway. And you could do the same front to back too. As you reach forward, feel how your feet, your toes start to grip on just a little bit. You don't have to go far. And then rock back into your heel. Again, rocking forward, feeling where the toes start to turn on. They catch you because they have beautiful mechanisms that do that automatically, reflexively, and then drop back more into your heels. And you'll notice there how your toes lift up. So there again, in that rocking back to forth, side to side, can I then find those 3 points? The point where my big toe, my pinky toe side of my foot, and then the ball or the heel of my foot. Okay. So just be there for a moment in your feet, breathing into your feet. Beautiful practice just in itself. And again, now we're going to take that energy up the leg. So this is where I'm going to show you a little trick. If you have a yoga block or a block-like thing, something that is going to support you, you're going to bring it between just above your knees there, between your thighs. Okay? So now that we've given a little bit of alertness here to your feet, you're going to use the inseam of your leg. Those are called your adductors. They're going to draw into that, but already you might feel how you zip up through the base of your belly by drawing attention to the midline. When we think about midline here, so the center of our body, you'll also then feel a little lift through your arches. So if you are flat-footed or you have bunions, this is a fantastic place to play with feeling the aliveness as the energy draws up from your feet through the inside of your legs and draws energy into your pelvis. Can you feel the difference here? What's going on at the base of your belly? So for a moment, you might even just take the block out. Stand in your feet, softness in your knees, but still feel that draw and that lift up through energy. Now add the block again and feel the difference. So actively squeeze here. Draw in. You might even feel your glutes turn on some here, okay? So we're looking at what's going on from the waist down at this point. You feel the lift through the inside of your arch, the lift through the inside of your legs here. Let everything else do what it's just doing for now. Okay? And then soften your knees. Take the block away. You can just set that off to the side. It's a beautiful tool to add in lots of different shapes. You can even do a sun salutation with a block between your legs. Standing, taking breaks after you've been doing a lot of sitting to bring some energy from your feet up is a beautiful thing. So just stand here again, feel your feet, feel already, maybe even feel a little vibration or a little energy through your legs. Now let's talk about the pelvis and the spine. So as we bring ourselves upstairs and talk about what's going on from the waist up, the movement of our pelvis and the curvature of our spine is going to affect how the energy moves through our spine and the signal goes to our limbs. It also is going to be connected with all the energy that comes through our spine and the signal from our brain to our vital organs. So this is why spine health and moving our spine well is just so absolutely crucial and why we emphasize it so much in a yoga practice. So let's talk a little bit about how the pelvis works and how the spine moves in alignment. So here we can see-ish, I'm not the poster child for posture. Okay, you guys have seen me around the studio. I have to work pretty hard for it. It's gotten better over the years. But here's more a neutral shape. Okay, imagine my pelvis. What's working in the front is equally matched in the back. Okay, so the pelvis is going to sit in your body here, a little bit of an angle. You can see my hands like this, right? So here's the top edge of my pelvis. Here's the front of my pelvic bone, my pelvic bones. Inside there, it's like a bowl. Okay, so if I took that bowl on the back side is my tailbone, right? So if I lift my tailbone up, my arch or my ribs flare up there, flare out there. What you might not be able to see then is also what happens to my neck when I do that. Now, if I take my pelvis and I bring it back to neutral, naturally my rib cage comes in and then you can see the length up through the crown of my head. Now, watch what happens when I take my pelvis the other way. If I tuck my tailbone underneath me, did you see what happened to my shoulders and my head? Many of us sit this way. I know I end up sitting this way on my couch at the end of the night and then my body isn't too happy with me. Again, I'm going to take my pelvis and I'm going to tip it to come back to neutral. Okay? So when we stand in Tadasana, we're looking for a neutral spine. Again, that block in between the legs is a beautiful thing to do, or way to work with that. Another, though, a beautiful way to work with it is going to a wall. So if I backed up here and I came to the wall, My feet, my heel are just going to be away from the wall. I'm going to keep a little softness in my knees here, but I'm going to have the back of my sacrum, it's the triangular shape bone on the back side of your pelvis, okay? That space is going to find a little cozy home there. And you notice I bent my knees there to do that. Now I'm going to take my shoulder blades to the wall. And now I'm going to take the back of my head. So the 3 S's, skull, shoulders, sacrum, at the wall. The front of the throat then has to reach to the back of the neck so that the back of the cervical spine stays long. So the natural curve of your cervical spine takes its shape. Because you can imagine now that there's this space here at my low back because my lumbar spine curves inward. My thoracic spine, this middle area of my spine, then curves towards the wall. And then this curvature here of my cervical spine mimics the curvature of my lumbar spine. And it also is going to have some space here. But notice, in order to get my head to the wall, if you have to lift your chin. That's not what we're after there. So work with keeping the chin in just slightly so that, again, the natural curvature for you, right, can arrive. Now imagine that this for many of us is a lot of work. You could also do the same shape in sitting. Now if I keep this alignment of my spine and now step away from the wall, can I keep the back of my head, my shoulders, and my sacrum stacked? Again, notice I have a little softness in my knees. But then I can draw some energy to my thigh bones, my quadriceps, to pull my kneecaps up. To again, bring a little bit of energy. Again, that's where the block might come in handy in order to find this neutral spine. Okay? So in neutral, again, remember that there's not a tuck. Again, see the roundness. There's not a pitch here where you're kind of dumping out the bowl here that is your pelvis. But everything's coming here. For many of us, getting some feedback from the surface is extremely, extremely helpful. Another tool I want to share with you to help you find the alignment here of your spine in neutral and finding up is a use of a dowel or a broomstick. I teach this sometimes when I do my therapeutic classes. A Swiffer sweeper works really great because it's flat on the bottom, but if it's a broom and you had something here, or it would be at the bottom, you could turn it up, right? But something that's stick-like, okay? A chair actually could also work quite well too, and you would hold on to the back of the chair instead. So I'm going to start here facing, then I'm going to turn. So again, feet are underneath my hips, softness in my knees, but then I'm going to bring some energy to it. I'm going to take a grip around this dowel or your broomstick, or if you're at a chair, reaching down. If I then push down into this broomstick, again, I'm going to feel how that energy draws up through my legs, turning on my quadriceps, but not locking out my knees. I can feel a little energy here around the base and the reaching up through the crown of my head. So if there was a string at the top of my head, I can keep reaching up through it. Now just notice your breath there. And then soften your knees. You don't have to hold that long because it's sneaky. There's more work going on there than one might imagine. So if I turn to the side, again, you might also notice this. So if you want to take a peek at me, and my feet are as wide as my hips. I'm not locking out my knees. When I lock out my knees, I put strain on my low back. Okay, so soften your knees. Feel the ease of the low back. Reach down. Again, drawing energy from the feet up to the pelvis, up through the crown of your head. Have that beautiful string being held up tall. My shoulder blades, I'm still thinking sacrum, shoulder blades. I said sacrum, but pointed the back of my head. Skull, shoulder blades, and your sacrum. Again, using a chair and pushing down on the back of the chair will give you a really, really similar shape to that, or a sensation. So if I then sat that off to the side, came back into standing here, soften everything for a moment, and then reach energy like there was a block there between my legs. And if you want to put it back there, you most certainly can. Reach down through my feet, feel on my quadriceps, turn on just some, but not locking out my knees, right? There's some softness still there. Feeling the energy at the base of my belly, like I was holding that stick or pushing down into the chair. And then that string up through the crown of my head length. Again, imagining that feedback that you had at the back of the wall, or at the wall with your back at the wall, with the sacrum, your shoulders, and the back of your head. Feeling energy from the ground up through the midline, the inseam of your feet, your legs, the action here around your pelvis, and the length through the rest of your spine. Shoulders then, right? Like, where are my shoulders? If you set your spine and your shoulders already did the work of standing at the wall, there's not much more that might need to happen at this point, okay? But your shoulder blades are on your back. Okay? Then let the arms be easy. So if that means easy arms means palms towards your sides, awesome. If that means palms open to receive some energy, great. Both are wonderful. We've got the front side of the body energized as much as the back body. We refer to that as co-contraction. So the muscles of the front line are working in conjunction of the back of the body in order to stabilize and hold you. The right side of the body and the left side of the body, notice if one side feels different than the other. Notice if there's more energy in the lower half than there is in the upper. If you could break yourself into those quadrants, those are the planes of movement in which we move. And then soften, bounce around in your knees. And that is the energetic qualities and the physical qualities of Tadasana, standing strong and stable in mountain. It can be very powerful practice just in itself. You can also take that feedback and that idea of the alignment of the spine. Again, imagine how it can be pulled into all different shapes. Think about how that gets pulled into warrior poses, in crescent lunges. But even it's really cool to think about it in a sun salutation, in the Surya Namaskar, and it has to play any questions at all. I am here to help. I'm here to support you in this time when we are staying safe in our homes. I hope you're all well. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. I think you can even find me for Perennial's website as well. So I'm here. Reach out. Be well. Take care. We'll see you soon.